It's Monday at noon, which means it's time for another edition of Ski-U-Mah Weekly here on the Gopher Sports Facebook page. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Justin Gard from KFAN Radio, sideline reporter for the Gopher Football Radio Network. We're brought to you, as always, by the Minnesota Lottery, and we're glad that you decided to join us today. We're going to talk women's basketball in our second segment of the show, but first, as we always do, we're going to talk football. But PJ Fleck's not here. Where's Coach? He's actually on the road recruiting today, so Mo Linguist, secondary coach, nice enough to step in. Coach Mo, thanks for taking the time today.
Yeah, it's been great to be here. I'm glad to be here. I appreciate you guys having me.
The debut on Ski-U-Mah Weekly, your life will never be the same
No
after
doubt,
this moment.
no doubt.
Right
I'm
here.
excited. I'm excited.
Good. Well, we do. Everything stays the same. We will have an opportunity to ask Coach Mo some Facebook questions. If you want to drop them in the comment section now, we'll get to those in just a minute. But first, a couple for me. As you went back and looked at the Michigan game,
Sure.
Which I'm sure people, you don't love to do, but it's a necessary evil when you're a coach. When you went back and took a look at it, what stood out to you?
Well, definitely. We're coming off a tough loss against a tough opponent on the road. The one thing I can say about our kids is that we battled through four quarters, and we didn't get the result that we wanted. But the exciting part about it is our kids bounced back on Monday morning, bright eyes, and they're ready to get back to work. There's a lot of conviction with our kids. They know the process that's taking place here every single day. We're going to get judged off of results. We didn't get the result that we wanted, but we're going right back to the process of what we need to do to prepare for this week's opponent, to get ourselves ready to be our best every single week.
It's Nebraska this Saturday at TCF Bank Stadium, 11 o'clock kick this weekend. After a couple of road night games, that 11 o'clock should feel nice. Get your sleep.
Coach, I'm ready for the rain delay.
I know. We'll have rain and snow in the forecast, by the way, because why wouldn't there be? Coach Fleck, by the way, has said there should be an award maybe named after you this year, or at least an award presented to you because of all the different things you've had to deal with in the defensive backfield, whether it's injuries, holding guys out earlier in the year. What's that been like for you as a coach to really not really know who you're going to have week to week and have to put the right pieces around?
Sure. It's a credit to the kids in the room. They've taken it upon themselves to just pick up whatever we need for that week. We've played 11 different guys this year. We played some young guys. We played some old guys. Sometimes you look over your shoulder and you're like, oh, you're the next one up. But the guys, the one thing I'm really proud of is that, we've been able to sustain some level of consistency in terms of our play, hold opponents' pass yardage down. Our guys play tough. They play smart. They play hard. They're determined. And us as coaches, we just got to get them in the right position to exploit their strengths and make sure we stay away from some of those weaknesses. And Coach Smith and the whole defensive staff, I think we've done a solid job of doing that. But every week it's a challenge. This is one of the top leagues in the United States of America, and our guys understand that. We're seeing some of the best receivers in America week in and week out. But we're going to bring our A game every single week, and whoever it is that's on the field, the standard is in the position and not necessarily the player. So we're playing up to a standard of playing at a high level, making sure that we make plays and we're in the right position.
What are the challenges of getting the younger players ready to go, whether it's a Kenny Handy Holly or a Justice Harris, who guys at the start of the season, you were hoping you could redshirt. Now they've got to get up to speed. What's the biggest challenge?
Well, this time last year they were getting ready for homecoming, and now we're asking them to win Big Ten games on the road. But the best part about it, you got to accelerate the process in terms of how much they can learn and how much they can grasp. A lot of it with freshmen is building their confidence. You build confidence through preparation, you build confidence through knowledge, and then you go out and you gain your confidence by how you play. And I think a lot of those guys, when you get to this point in the season, you're not a true freshman necessarily anymore because you've had some games under your belt now. It's not all just brand new to you, and you have to build on the successes that you've had throughout the year. You look at the last two games that Ken Handy Holly's been a part of. He comes away with a great pass breakup against Illinois. Right. He pulls the ball out against Iowa for a forced fumble, recovers the fumble. So you're seeing some of these things that the flashes of what he's been able to do starting to take place in games, and now you have to build on it and continue to let them know you're confident in them. But they're going to gain their own confidence by going on the field, executing the call, executing the coverages, and then really having that belief in themselves that they're able to do it. And then us as coaches just being smart in terms of where we put them, when we put them there, and then the calls that we make when they're in the game.
A reminder to get your Facebook questions in the comment section. We'll get to those in just a second. You're one of the new coaches with Coach Fleck. He had some people that he knew from the past. Give us a little bit of background of how you guys connected, how you knew each other, and what ultimately led you to Minnesota.
Our meeting was first over the phone, and Coach Fleck reached out, and I had known of him and his successes at Western Michigan, and just being an elite recruiter, an elite coach, being able to present an elite culture to a program, and so I knew a lot about him. Never had met him before, but it was almost an instant relationship in terms of when we got on the phone and just his views and how he grows, how he develops, how he builds kids, and how he runs a program, and his big picture plan in terms of what Minnesota can be. We have an elite university, a top 25 academic school in America. There's 18 Fortune 5 companies here in terms of kids that want to do things that are after football. We have Mall of America. We have great sports town, a great sports facility. We have one of the best facilities in America going up right now. So there's a buzz and there is a movement going on. And when I got on the phone with Coach Fleck and we started talking about what can be and what we could do, and then in terms of his approach, and he's a culture first. He's a family man. He's got a beautiful wife. He's got great kids, and I just loved everything about him. So it really drew me to him and who he was as a person, and then also what he was able to do on the football field, taking Western Michigan to a Cotton Bowl in short 4 years, something that's never been done before. And I said to myself, if he can do it there's no doubt in my mind that we can do it here. So there is a big picture plan in place. It is a process, but Coach Fleck is an elite man, and you really you get that feel from him as soon as you meet him, and it really drew me to him.
Our first Facebook question is along those lines of the culture that you talk about. Allie wants to know how the culture with PJ Fleck has differed from other places you've been. You've been, kind of all over the country.
Sure.
So, compare it a little bit.
I think it's very unique. It is truly one of a kind. Every head coach, I believe, has their own niche. Every head coach is going to probably put emphasis on different things. But the one thing I think that Coach Fleck does an elite job of is in terms of the development of the kid. Academically, athletically, socially, and spiritually, we are people first. We are kids first. They are human beings and kids first before they're ever a football player. And we're as concerned or more concerned about their GPA, about their social life, about their growth in terms of who they are as a young man, as important as we look at them as a football player, right, and what they do on the football field and how much they can make plays and how much they can help us win a game on a daily basis. But the culture here is high energy. It's right in your face in terms of we're not gonna hold back anything in terms of building relationships, and we're gonna out relationship people, and we're gonna recruit our butts off on a daily basis to make sure that we're bringing in the right kind of people and kids that we want into our program.
Have you ever been a part of an Easter egg hunt that ended with a scholarship handed out before? Until you got here?
There's been a lot of firsts. There's been a lot of firsts. The Easter egg hunt, and we took the team paintballing during fall camp, but there's been a lot of great firsts. You're seeing it take place with our kids here. The culture in terms of that's getting instilled in these kids every single day. The GPA is going up. Kids are smiling. Kids are bouncing. And I tell you what, we've lost some games, but we haven't lost our kids, and we haven't lost our conviction in terms of what we set out to do. So we got a lot of work ahead of us. We understand that. We know it's not going to get done in a day, but we're going to go right back to the process of what we need to do every single day to be the best that we can every single day.
Our next question is about looking forward to Nebraska. Stefan wants to know, how do you and the defense plan on stopping Nebraska to come up with a win? Just give us a thumbnail on what you see from the Huskers.
Sure. Dynamic passer in their quarterback, Tanner Lee. They got some elite playmakers, I think, on the outside. With Stanley Morgan, one of their receivers, and their running back, Devine Ozebo. He runs the ball hard and tough, solid offensive line. And the thing when you get to this point in the season is you really worry about yourself more than anybody else. We have a scheme that we have to go against, that we have to stop. But really it's about us and getting ourselves in the right position, making sure that we're motivated, making sure that we have the right mindset and we have the right mental approach in terms of our preparation. When you get to the November seasons, in the November part of the season, it's really about your preparation and your approach, and being excited to be out there, excited to play football, excited to get one more home opportunity to showcase what we can do in front of our elite fans at TCF Bank Stadium.
And along those lines, controlling what you can control, working on you, our last question from John, where do you place your emphasis with the defensive backs during the week in practice? Is there a laundry list of things that you're doing basically every week?
There's an approach that takes place every single week in terms of our location, playing the deep ball, making sure that we're reading our keys in terms of the tight ends, fitting the run. So there's almost a checklist that we go through every single week, and then we apply that checklist to the opponent, and then we kind of mesh those two scopes together to get our game plan and get ourselves ready to play. But we're going to have an aggressive approach. We're going to have an attacking mentality. We're going to make sure that we're going to get our guys healthy, get our guys ready to play, and we'll be at our best at 11 o'clock on Saturday.
Last question, part two. While defensive backs are obviously focused on pass defense, what role do your guys play in the run defense?
Sure. Well, it takes 11 guys to stop the run. it takes 11 guys to stop the pass. So, sometimes, when you go through a game, you can say, well, DBs are worried about the pass and the other guys are worried about the run. But, it's 11 on 11. That's what football is. Right. So everybody's got a key. Everybody's got to read. Everybody's got a responsibility. Everybody's got a place that they're supposed to be if on a run play or a pass play. So it all meshes together. We are worried about the pass, but we're just as worried about making sure we fit the run and making sure that we have 11 guys swarming to the ball on a run or pass play, whatever the situation is.
We will let you get back to preparing for the Huskers. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate
Definitely.
you
I
filling
appreciate
in for Coach
the time.
Fleck.
Thank you.
That's Linguist, secondary coach, defensive backs coach here at the University of Minnesota. A reminder, the Gophers take on Nebraska, 11 o'clock at TCF Bank Stadium this Saturday. We'll talk women's basketball when we come back.
George to throw. The blitz from Coughlin comes. He's down. Carter Coughlin sacked.
Gophers, Cornhuskers. Saturday at 11 a.m. at TCF Bank Stadium. Tickets available at gophersports.com.
Welcome back to Ski-U-Mah Weekly here on the Gopher Sports Facebook page. I'm Justin Gard. Thanks again to the Minnesota Lottery for making this possible every single week. And it's basketball season. It's 28 degrees outside, which means it's winter. So it's either hockey in Minnesota, but of course it's basketball as well. And to talk women's basketball, the head coach, Marlene Stollings. Coach, how are you?
Doing great.
Staying out of trouble. I called her Coach Stollings during the break. Not allowed to do that. It's Coach M or Coach Marlene, so we're going to get that figured out here in the interim. I just met Coach McGillan here a minute ago, so I have no idea what to call you, Coach Marty.
It's Coach Marty.
Coach Marty.
Yeah,
all right, we will do that. A first-year assistant coach, defensive coordinator, which I want to talk about. But first, Coach M, before we talk about starting the season November 11th, Saturday against Lehigh at the Barn, give us a thumbnail of how preseason preparations have gone.
Yeah. Well, this is an exciting group. We like the balance that we have of the 7 upperclassmen, 6 underclassmen. We like that mix. We like our incoming class, especially our 2 freshmen. We think that they can compete for starting positions and play a lot of minutes and contribute. Of course, everyone's excited to see Carly Wagner in her senior year. So, and she's worked a lot on her game. So, everybody's undefeated. It's a great time of year. A lot of excitement building up to the start of the season here on Saturday.
How different is this year from last year in that? I think at this point last year you had like 8 new faces or something. You were trying to acclimate. You at least know everybody's name at this point this year, right? So, what have the differences been from last year to this year in that regard? Well,
I'll tell you what, it's been really refreshing as a staff to have those returners help lead the newcomers, and we did have such a large group of newcomers last year, and we had a very tough schedule, and we knew that going in. So it was kind of a double-edged sword from that aspect. But we really like how our returners have been able to help the newcomers, especially over the summer, and just really help them understand what it's about off the court as well as on the court. And it's been a big help to our staff and allowed us to advance the team, I would say, quicker than we could at this point last season. One new face is the man to your left. Coach Marty, you brought him in. This is his first year. I know you guys have some history. You worked together at a previous stop. Tell us why you wanted to bring him on board. Yeah, well, we didn't work directly together. He was on the men's staff. I was on the women's staff when I was the head coach at Winthrop. But, we had time to spend in the gym just at practices and different things. We had great mutual respect for one another. I really like the experience that he brings to our staff. I had to twist his arm a little bit to get him to come over to the good side and coach women. But he's been a great addition to our staff. I love his energy, his passion, and his knowledge of the game and how he's been able to connect with our players. Coach, 25-ish years coaching on the men's side, and now you're here at about 2 months coaching women. Before we talk about those differences, just why did coming to Minnesota make sense for you?
Chance to work for her. Yeah, I mean, work for Coach Marlene has been it's been a great experience. Obviously, being at such a high level, you get a chance to compete with the best, and you get a chance to coach pros year in and year out. So I think any profession, that's what you want to do. You want to challenge yourself against the best. When you said work with her, you obviously observed her at Winthrop. What stood out to you at that point to say, I think I'd like to work for her someday? Attention to detail, knowledge of the game, expertise. I've said this to numerous people. I used to tell friends to come up, hey, I want to go watch a couple practices. I would tell them, hey, look, you want to learn something, you come make sure you see our women's team practice. It's just a different level. You learn a lot every day.
Now, do we overblow it in terms of coaching men as opposed to coaching women? Is coaching when it comes down to it, or are there differences that you're learning here?
I think so. I think inherently coaching is coaching. You establish a relationship with them. You get them to buy into what you're about. You get them to trust you. Women are better listeners. They're literal, which forces me. I'm learning how to be a better coach.
Sure.
I'm having to become a better teacher. Less is more. Or with the men's side, why do I have to do that? With the women, it's why am I doing that? Because I want to make sure I do it correctly.
Sure. And
you're validating why it is that this is a rule, this is a principle. So I think that's probably the major difference.
The Gophers open this Saturday, Williams Arena, 5 o'clock. Lehigh is the opponent. If you're going to the Nebraska football game, bring your ticket because you can get in for just $5. And I'm not allowed to touch these uniforms, Coach. I was told specifically, don't get them dirty, don't touch them. But I know this is an exciting part of something you guys are debuting this year. What do we know about these?
Well, it is. And Nike offered us a nice new look this year, and we took advantage of it. So these are actually the uniforms that they used in USA basketball.
Okay.
So they're very lightweight. Okay, the tackle twill on the back doesn't weigh much of anything. And then we love Goldie. So we chose to highlight Goldie on the back.
Oh, yeah, there's Goldie there. He's on the shorts, too, his face.
So we have Goldie on the shorts. It's a year of Goldie right here. So we've got Goldie on the pant leg of our shorts, and then we have the M logo right here on the waistband.
That's solid.
So, and something really interesting that USA Basketball experimented with and our kids seem to really like is these strips on the back. Those are to dry their hands off, so they don't have to wipe them on their shoes anymore. So
they thought of
modern
everything.
technology.
I was going
right
to
there.
say, I mean, when we were all playing back in the old days, I mean, did you ever envision that the uniform game would get to where it's gotten here? I mean, I remember getting one uniform for like 7 years, and that's what you dealt with, right?
Well, not only that, the weight is the biggest change.
Yeah.
I went back and pulled out one of my old jerseys, and I think they weigh about 3 pounds.
Yeah.
So the lightweight of the material has really come a long way.
So we'll get to check those out for the first time this coming Saturday. Just a couple of more questions for me. We can take some Facebook questions if we have some as well in our final minute or two. You're brought in as the defensive coordinator, which that's another thing that's changed like within the last 5 or 6 years. There's always been coaches that emphasize one over the other or handle a certain thing, but defensive coordinator, you got that on your business card now. When you looked at this Gopher defense, did you go back and look at years past of what they were trying to do defensively or talk with coach and say this is what we like, this is what we didn't like, or do you take a fresh look at all of it to implement your system?
It's both.
Yeah.
Watched every game, went through it, obviously talked to the staff that's here. Why did we do what we did? What was our thought process behind it? Coach and I, that was a lot of us, initially in the interview process, what her vision was, what she wanted. And that was one of the things that really drew me to the position. But it's an ongoing process. The thing I've been excited about is although the schemes may be a little bit different, you've got 13 women that come in every day. They're really passionate about the process and want to build and want to improve. What is different defensively what you're trying to do, or how have you noticed the difference just with Coach Marty here in the short time he's been here?
Yeah. Well, I think, he hits a nail on the head saying, what we're building. I think that's the big thing. The defensive scheme and stuff of what we want to do is not drastically different than in previous years. It's just that we want to build it. I love his passion, his energy, and his connection to the players. I think that piece has been the biggest obvious difference. And as we advance that part of our scheme and what we're looking for.
And there's someone to yell at now if the defense breaks
That's
down, right? You have
That's
a specific
right.
person. That's good. No, I'm just kidding. We do have a question from John. Wants to know how the Big Ten overall looks this year in women's basketball. We know it's going to be tough. I think that's pretty obvious. You're been here a while now, so you understand the league. Give us a thumbnail of what you think about the conference.
Well, the thing with our conference, I think that may be a little bit different than some of the other Power Fives is how tough we are top to bottom. I mean, you could play the last place team standing-wise on any given night, and it's going to be an all-out battle.
Right.
I mean, it just is. But it's top-heavy with Ohio State and Maryland again. I mean, I think that those are the two teams that everybody's got their eye on. Maryland's won every single year since they've joined the conference. And in Ohio State with Kelsey Mitchell coming back, I think is a team that everybody has starred, as a game on their calendar. But those are the two teams until someone else really moves them out of that spot that we have to target.
Coach M, you're Coach M. You're Coach Marty. I'm going to get it. Coach Marty, nice to meet you. Welcome to Minnesota. Coach M, welcome back. Thanks for joining us on Ski-U-Mah Weekly. I'm sure we'll catch up as the season goes along, and good luck on Saturday and the rest of the season.
Thank you. Go Gophers.
Check out the uniforms Saturday. Williams Arena. Lehigh is the opponent, 5 o'clock. A reminder, you can bring your ticket stub from the Nebraska football game. Get in for just $5. MyGopherSports.com for all kinds of info there. And remember this is breaking news. The Black Friday sale starts right now. Thanksgiving is weeks away. Still, we're starting the Black Friday cyber sale at gophersports.com. Go ahead and check that out. And make sure to check us out next Monday right here on the Minnesota Facebook page.